Hello, everyone. It's so good to have you here. I think this is such a great way to end the week doing these Friday Night Live meditations. So, welcome. I'm going to give folks a few minutes to come in tonight and join. But I'm so excited for a couple of reasons to be here with you tonight, and I'll talk about those in just a second. But as you're coming in, please drop me a comment to let me know if you're here live. And if you're watching this on replay, just tell me replay, just so I know that you were here. And I appreciate you all ending your week with me this way. So, welcome to October 1st, which is the first official day kicking off what I have dubbed to be Self-Compassion Month for the whole month of October. So, I have a variety of offerings and events that I'm doing for the whole month. You can find information on those on Instagram and my bio link, on Facebook posts, on LinkedIn. And of course, you can always shoot me an email at michelle@lifefromthesummit.com if you want to find out more information. So I encourage you to check those out. I have new shoe groups coming up starting on Monday. And then I have some group coaching, a group coaching opportunity coming up where this is your chance to bring something that you would want to work on that you feel you might want some self-compassion around. We could do some group coaching around. Very small, intimate group where I have found that experience is so powerful because even when you're just watching other people be coached, you're learning a lot about yourself and maybe what you came to get coached on. So there's group coaching coming up. And then for all the ladies and gender identifying ladies in Colorado, I have a women's half-day self-compassion retreat coming up on October 17th. I'm so excited about that. So anyway, a whole bunch of offerings. You can find more information on all of my social media stuff. But tonight is our first live guided meditation to kick off the month. I'll be doing these every Friday this month at this time. And tonight, I want to talk to you first and foremost about Ted Lasso, why I'm focusing on self-compassion for the month, 3 tattoos that you should get, a typo, and then we're going to do our live guided meditation for tonight. So I'm going to move through this pretty quick. You might want to get a pen and paper for a couple of things. Otherwise, you can obviously just hit replay on the recording and watch it some other time. So Ted Lasso, if you have not watched the show, and if you don't have Apple TV, like this is the perfect excuse for you to get Apple TV because this show is so much joy. And I wanted to bring it up today because a new episode drops today, which I'm fixing to go watch as soon as I get done with this video. And also because in that show, it is about love and compassion and also self-compassion. Because you might see people beating themselves up for a little while, but then they have friends, loved ones who come in to support them. And it's about people really growing and showing themselves some grace and kindness. And so I just think that show is a beautiful way to maybe give yourself a little downtime, little self-care. Let me know in the comments if you watch Ted Lasso. I'd love to know who else watches that. So there's a quote from Ted Lasso, which I think is just really appropriate when we're talking about learning self-compassion, which is really about learning how to treat ourselves like we would treat a good friend. And there's a quote where Ted is talking to one of the teammates, Sam Obisanya, and he says to Sam, "You know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's a goldfish. You know why? Got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish." So as we're learning self-compassion, I encourage you to be a goldfish when it comes to the mistakes that you think you make, the flaws that you think you have, the ways that you feel that you're less than. I'm not telling you to just flip a switch and all of a sudden you're going to start feeling better. It's not about that. But this practice, and I say over and over again, it's a practice. This practice of self-compassion really encourages us to have a 10-second memory about the ways in which we really beat ourselves up. So why am I focusing on self-compassion all month? So many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is that I know, as many of you do, I can imagine, I know what it is like to, from beyond even memory, from any rational justification that I can remember as to why, I have always, always, always beat myself up way worse than anybody else could beat me up. And I've actually been beat up pretty bad by other people too. But I have done such a fantastic job of never letting myself off the hook, of always beating myself up. And in addition to that, the world is trying to beat us up on a daily basis. So we have ourselves at war, so to speak, with everybody in the world who's trying to beat us up. And then we're also at war with ourselves, beating ourselves up. So oftentimes we aren't going to be able to control or change what other people do. We can change our reactions to it. But what we can do is start to not judge ourselves like our worst enemies are judging us. So that's one of the reasons, is that, believe me, I have not come to self-compassion easy. It is always a work in progress. I am not somebody who wakes up in the morning and is like, oh, I love myself so much. No, probably knee-jerk reaction most of the time when I get up in the morning is I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh God, I look like crap. I didn't get a good night's sleep. Oh yeah, I didn't miraculously lose 15 pounds overnight. Like, just automatic, all these things. So I am not standing up here telling you that I have found self-compassion and my life is bliss. That is not the point. And that's not what the message that I'm telling you. What I am telling you is that I have found firsthand how these practices of self-compassion can help me minimize the judgment I have on myself. And when you do that, you actually start to open up space to be more resilient, to be more caring toward other people in healthy ways with healthy boundaries, to feel more at peace, to really feel confident in your ability to go after the things that you want. So when I think I mentioned last time, maybe, when we are constantly judging ourselves for something that we've done or some shortcoming that we have, we call that a second arrow, where there's the arrow of the first thing that's kind of shot out, the thing we think we messed up, what we wish we'd done differently, what we said, how we look, like we shouldn't have eaten all the chips and salsa today at lunch, which, by the way, I did, and I'm super miserable right now. All the things. And then we have the second arrow that comes back at us with the judgment we inflict on ourselves. So when you think about all of the things over the course of your life, or even let's just start with the last week, okay? Or even the last month. All the things that you have judged yourself about, those second arrows, we look like porcupines. I mean, if we could visibly see all of the arrows we have shot back at ourselves, we would look like porcupines. We would have arrows sticking out from everywhere. And so these practices really encourage us to eventually maybe not shoot the second arrow out at all, or when we do, at least knowing that we can remove it a little more skillfully. So I'm going to talk later in upcoming weeks sort of more about science and benefits of self-compassion, because I really believe the science is what can help nudge a lot of us who are very up in our heads, who don't want to let ourselves off the hook, how science actually shows the benefits of self-compassion. But for now, for tonight, I just want you to ask yourself two questions and maybe write these down for yourself to reflect on later. And the first one is, what would it actually hurt if I tried to be more compassionate to myself? And I want to explain here, there's a difference between pity, empathy, and compassion or self-compassion. Pity is what a lot of people seem to associate with self-compassion, that I'm just going to sit around and feel sorry for myself. But that's just what pity is. Pity is just feeling sorry for. So you may walk past for example, a homeless person on the street, and you just may feel sorry for them and keep walking past. Empathy is when we can emotionally relate to what someone else is going through. So we kind of feel what they're going through. That's empathy. So maybe you walk past the homeless person and you actually feel for them because maybe you've been homeless or maybe you've been in real dire financial straits. So you could see how that could happen. So you kind of feel those emotions for that person that they may be experiencing. What compassion and then also self-compassion is we have that empathy and we take action to try to alleviate the suffering. So in the homeless person example, we see the homeless person and we stop and maybe we are feeling the empathy and we take action. Maybe we actually strike up a conversation with them, give them a couple dollars, go buy them a sandwich. So compassion is really the added step of taking action on top of having the empathy. And what self-compassion is all of that turned around toward you. So you really empathizing with yourself and what you're going through, recognizing your struggle, and taking action not to make yourself feel better. Let me say that again. We don't exercise self-compassion to make ourselves feel better. We exercise self-compassion because we are struggling. So you may not in the moment feel better when you give yourself some compassion. But you give yourself that compassion because in the moment you are suffering. So that's a big distinction I want to make, and to sort of remove expectations from that. Because again, we're not trying to flip a switch and have you magically feel better. This is a practice. And you deserve compassion because you are experiencing a moment of suffering. So let that sink in for just a little bit. The second question that I want to ask you to reflect on is, what's one small way that I could benefit from having more self-compassion? One small way that you could benefit from more self-compassion. And this is, as I mentioned, we'll get into the science, but this is building things like resilience, your ability to care for other people with healthy boundaries, just the inner peace that you experience, more calm. So think, what is one tiny way that some area of my life could benefit from some self-compassion? Or at least setting the intention to want to feel compassion. So I encourage you to reflect on those two questions and share with me your thoughts if you're comfortable with that. So I mentioned we were going to talk about tattoos. So I don't have any tattoos. I love tattoos on other people. If I were to ever get a tattoo or 3 tattoos, it would be these. So if you're thinking of getting a tattoo, I'm not telling you to one way or another, but these might be 3 things you'd consider getting a tattoo because they are timeless. These aren't things that you'll regret when you're 80. These are timeless. So the first one is just a little mindfulness meditation basics. We can think of mindfulness like having 2 wings, like a bird. A bird can't fly with 1 wing. So mindfulness really has 2 wings. There's the awareness wing, becoming aware of your experience. And the second wing is the compassion wing, non-judgment about the experience you're having. And we balance both of these. So you could be completely aware of what your experience is, but not have that second wing because you're judging it all the time. So that's the first concept. Perfect tattoo, like get an eagle or something to remind you of that. Second thing is related to that. There are 3 components I mentioned last week of self-compassion. So self-compassion, first of all, requires the mindfulness, the awareness piece, the recognition that you are experiencing a moment of suffering. The second component is recognizing that all human beings have pain. Even though your pain is very personal to you, it feels very personal, and it can often feel very unique and lonely. Everyone experiences pain. Everyone experiences fear. So reminding yourself that you are connected to everyone because we are all human beings and we are here and we are experiencing pain. And then the third component is the kindness, the compassion piece, which is the second wing of mindfulness. So that's the third tattoo. Mindfulness, shared common humanity, and kindness. And then the last tattoo you could get, which is for those of you who've been in my mindfulness courses, this is the thing that I say that has been really, truly revolutionary for me. This is an equation that was developed by Buddhist monk Shinzen Young, who's amazing. I highly recommend his work. And his equation, which would make a fabulous tattoo, is suffering equals pain times resistance. So we often hear that life is suffering. That's not actually correct. Life is and has pain. You aren't going to be able to get away from pain in your life. You don't want to be able to get away from pain in your life. Truly. That's a topic for another day, but the pain is where we grow. The pain is how we develop resilience. The pain is what makes you fully human. But life is pain. So we're not trying to get rid of the pain. We're trying to minimize the suffering. And how do we do that? By decreasing the resistance. I just had a flash of David on Schitt's Creek from 10 to 5, when he's telling his dad to be quiet. I digress. We're trying to minimize the resistance to the pain we experience. And so when we're talking about self-judgment, we're talking about resistance coming in the form of that second arrow. Resistance in the form of thinking, I shouldn't have done that. Can't believe I said that. Why do I act that way? Why do I eat all the chips and salsa? Why can't I do this? The resistance in terms of not letting something just be. And so when we start practicing self-compassion, we're working on reducing that resistance to the painful thing that has already happened so that you can decrease your suffering. Okay, if you ever get tattoos of any of those, please send them to me. I'd love to see them. So with that, I want to move to a story, and then we'll move into our meditation for tonight. The story is actually something that happened today. So when I say that this is a work in progress for me, it is a constant work in progress. It's messy. It's always going to be a friggin' practice for me. And it probably won't be for you too. That's no reason to give up on it. So what happened is I was rushing around this morning to try and get some things done. I wanted to send out an email launching Self-Compassion Month tonight. I wanted to do all the social media posts. I was doing all of these on all of the platforms that I have on MailChimp and Buffer and StreamYard and all the crap that it requires to be on social media nowadays. And I was needing to hurry because I had to leave to go see the immersive Van Gogh experience in Denver, which is amazing, by the way. So I'm typing out the email. I proofread it. I send me a preview. I look it over. It looks good. Post it. Get home later today. See the email. And right in the subject line is a typo. I think it was something like, instead of kick off Self-Compassion Month, it said kick of Self-Compassion Month. And I'm immediately like, oh, dummy, 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 dummy. Careless, in a hurry, dummy. Beating myself up for this stupid typo. And the reasons are many. Again, from a very young age, I have always beat myself up over the tiniest little mistake. And I have been conditioned, like many of you, by society to think that, oh my God, typos mean you're sloppy, you're unprofessional, you're careless, all these things. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, people are going to think I am completely unprofessional, that I am careless, that I don't proofread, all the things. People are just going to people are going to unsubscribe because they don't want to read emails from people who have typos. quickly, in about 2 minutes, went down that spiral. And what was happening with that is that I was resisting the fact that it happened, resisting the fact that I'm human, I can make mistakes, and resisting what could happen if somebody wants to unsubscribe from my email list because I had a typo. Once I brought in the first component, the mindfulness wing, when I was aware of all of that chatter in my head, that was the first step. The second step was remembering, oh my God, everybody makes typos. Everybody. Everybody in business makes typos. Professionals make mistakes all the time. And then I just saw my phone is in low battery mode. Hang on a second here. Gotta get that plugged in for the live. Bear with me 1 minute. I lost my... Sorry about that. Hang on. I'm looking for my plug, which I can't find. Sorry, Instagrammers. You might have to sit someplace else. I'm just going to hold up. I'm going to hold up the Instagrammers, so I get to hold you right here. So beating myself up, but remembering that everybody makes mistakes, and then bringing in some kindness to myself. Remembering it's okay. I was hurrying around. I was doing the best I could do. But that's just one example of how we automatically start judging ourselves for the mistakes that we make. And then shortly after that, I talked to a good friend of mine who she reminded me, it's okay. People make mistakes. It's not a big deal. If people want to unsubscribe from your email because you made a typo, let them. Who cares? Doesn't matter. So my good friend showed me compassion in my mistake. Okay. So let's go ahead and move into our meditation tonight. I'm going to move the phone over and I'm going to hope that it doesn't die for all the Instagram people. I got Instagram, Facebook going all at the same time here. So let's move into the meditation tonight. And I want to first, I'm going to try to remember to remind folks of this every week as we're practicing mindfulness and self-compassion, that if it is uncomfortable at all for you to collect your awareness, to bring your awareness into your body. For example, if you've suffered a trauma, if the body is a difficult place for you to be, please, please do not push this. Okay. That in and of itself can be an act of self-compassion, to remember that it's okay not to force yourself to do something that doesn't feel comfortable. And the second thing is, when you start practicing self-compassion, and this will be something I talk about in the coming weeks also, it can feel uncomfortable and clunky. You might notice a lot of stuff coming up. And first of all, that's a sign that it's working, that the compassion is starting to tap into things that need to be held with some grace and kindness. But again, if it becomes too much, if it becomes too uncomfortable, back out of the practice. Return your awareness to your breath. If that was a comfortable place for you to gather your attention, or to a sound outside, or just get up and stop meditating and go pet your dog, pet your cat, go watch Ted Lasso, like exercise some self-care. Because again, we are not trying to force self-compassion, and recognizing that that might be difficult for you right now. And so let's come back to it later. That is an act of self-compassion. Okay, so please, please exercise your own autonomy, take care of yourself, and don't force it. All right, so I'll give you a moment to just get comfortable wherever you are. If you are seated, maybe trying having your feet flat on the floor if you're in a chair. Sitting upright if you can. If you need a pillow, maybe behind the small of your back. Placing your hands on your lap or on the arms of the chair, or you're welcome to lie down. And if you're lying down, you might want to put a pillow under your knees. Lay your hands at your side or on your stomach. And we'll get started in just a few minutes. Okay, as you're getting comfortable, I invite you to close down your eyes if that feels safe for you, or you can cast your eyes down toward the floor, noticing the body settling in. And for these next few moments, just giving yourself permission to set aside whatever's happened for you today. Put down anything in your hands and allow yourself to be here for these next few moments. Giving yourself this gift of awareness, this gift of presence. And let's take a few deep inhales and exhales together to allow the body to settle in. So take a deep inhale through the nose, following the breath all the way from the tip of the nose, down the back of the throat, into the chest and abdomen. Pausing for a moment and then exhaling gently and slowly through the mouth, noticing the abdomen and chest falling and the air passing back through the throat, past the lips. And then taking another deep inhale, maybe a little deeper this time if that's comfortable for you. Filling up the belly, pausing, and then releasing gently and slowly through the mouth, emptying out all the air that you can. And then one last inhale. Maybe this is your deepest, most cleansing breath of the day. Filling up the belly all the way down as if the air can reach all the way to your toes and all the way to the top of your head. And then exhaling, maybe with a little more force, exhaling. And then letting your breath return back to normal for you, whatever that looks like today. There's no need to try and make your breath be any particular way, whether it's fast or slow, deep or shallow. Maybe you're a little more congested today. Just letting the breath be. And for this practice, it can help to establish an anchor. This is something that you can return your awareness to when you notice that your mind has wandered off, or if at any time the practice of self-compassion starts to feel uncomfortable. You can back out of the practice and return your awareness to this anchor. And typically we use the breath as an anchor. So finding the place where you can notice your breath the most. Maybe that's at the tip of the nose or the back of the throat or the chest, the abdomen. And finding the place where it's easiest for you to let your attention rest on the inflow and outflow of the breath. And if the breath is not a comfortable place for you to establish that anchor today, that's okay. You can either rest your awareness on another sensation in the body. Maybe there's a tingling in your fingers or toes, a neutral sensation. And if the body is not a comfortable place for you to find that anchor, then find something outside of the body, like a sound or a gentle humming, even the humming of a fan, or maybe a bird outside. Take a moment to find your anchor that will allow you to gently guide your awareness back when it's wandered away and allow you to feel safe. Letting that anchor rest in the background for you, I invite you to bring to mind a situation recently where maybe you've been judging yourself. Maybe it's for some mistake you thought you made or something you said. Maybe you didn't perform as well at work as you would like to. Maybe you had a moment where you lost it with your children or a loved one. Maybe it was something that you said and didn't even notice as you passed the mirror and took some jab at yourself. And as you're bringing this situation back to mind, noticing how does your body feel? What emotions might be coming up for you around this judgment of yourself? What physical sensations do you notice? Is there maybe a tightness in the chest, a lump in your throat, some feeling of uneasiness in the stomach? What physical sensations do you notice are present when you have this judgment against yourself? And now letting those sensations go, just letting them float away in the background. As you bring to mind somebody who you know deeply loves you and cares about you. It could be a family member, friend, or even a pet. Some being who, when they look at you, you know that they love you. Maybe they've shown you how much they care about you by saying something kind to you, or giving you a hug, or how your pet curls up in your lap. And imagining what this being might say to you, or even think for you, wish for you around this judgment that you're having. Maybe they would offer you some compassion by saying, please don't treat my friend, my loved one, that way. Please see in yourself all the beauty that I see in you, all the goodness I see in you. Please love and care for yourself as much as I love and care for you. As you're imagining some act or gesture of kindness that this person or this pet may offer you or show you, seeing if you can notice how this feels in your body. What does it feel like for you to receive that kindness from another being? And if it's difficult to notice anything, that's okay. We're not trying to force anything. We can plant the seed to set the intention to want to feel what it's like to experience that kindness or love from someone else. Where do you notice this in the body, and what does it feel like? Maybe there's just a general openness or expansiveness in the body, a warm tingling. Maybe something just feels calm or relaxed or peaceful. This feeling that you can imagine or want to imagine coming from someone else is the same feeling that you can cultivate for yourself by showing yourself kindness and compassion. So turning inward to offer yourself kindness. Sometimes it helps if we can place a hand on your heart or your stomach. Maybe it helps to hold your face or even clasp your hands together. These gestures can indicate to our body that it's okay, I'm here. And then we can offer ourselves our own words of kindness. And I'll suggest some phrases that you can say, but you might want to find your own phrases, whatever resonates with you. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself just as I am. May I be at peace. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself just as I am. May I be at peace. And letting these phrases wash over you. Noticing if anything has maybe shifted for you. And if not, that's okay. Remember that this is a practice. And by setting the intention to want to feel kindness for yourself, you can plant that seed of compassion and keep coming back to the practice. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself just as I am. May I be at peace. Returning your awareness now back to the breath and taking one more deep inhale and exhale. And gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe shrug your shoulders to give yourself a little stretch. And when you're ready, you can gently blink your eyes open. If you have anything you'd like to share or questions you'd like to ask me about that practice, I am always here for you, especially during this month of October. I have 10% battery left, and so the Instagram feed is going to go down. Thank you all for joining tonight, and I look forward to seeing you back here next Friday for another Mindful Friday. And if you're watching this on replay, again, please let me know and check out all the other offerings for October Self-Compassion Month. Please stay safe and well and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.